Migori governor has finally been brought into court. There he is. You can see live pictures. Unfortunately, our view is a little bit obstructed by, I believe, his counsel's gown there. But the governor is now in court, and we expect him to be charged any time now, and that is with the offense of aiding and abetting the commission of the felony termed murder. We also expect that his two personal assistants are with him, and that is Michael Juma Oyamo and Kaspal Ojwang Obiero. Michael Oyamo has, of course, been in police custody for a much longer period. He was first arraigned in court before the deputy registrar instructed that he be released unless the state would produce, or rather would make a substantial case as to why he should continue to be detained and not released on bail or bond. He was therefore thereafter released very briefly before later being rearrested and brought to Nairobi, where his case was brought before the High Court, and they were thereafter granted more time to hold the suspect. The same occurred with another gentleman who has been linked in the saga. He was arraigned at the Kisii court, and his name is Lawrence Obonyo Mula. He is a former MCA Kanya Doto Ward. He was also detained for a period longer than that stipulated, or rather recommended in law. That we have pictures of the governor in court. Of course, they're being charged with, in relation, or rather with concern to the brutal murder of Sharon Otieno, who was stabbed 8 times, as was her fetus. It's drawn varied, or rather an outrage in the public, including from Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., who, to quote, if I could quote him, and he said, Haki Yangai, the way she was murdered was indeed very brutal. They've also called for swift justice, and it appears that is what has happened. The family said that they would not lay the late Sharon to rest until justice is done, but her fetus, her unborn child, was laid to rest soon after their deaths. What happened is on the 3rd of September, together with Nation journalist Barack Odwor, they were abducted, and apparently that is after they were invited to a meeting by the Migori governor's personal assistant, that is Michael Oyamo. They thereafter got into a vehicle with a registration KCL 481K. That vehicle is now in possession of the police. It has been impounded. It is a dark gray Toyota Fielder, and it is believed to be the vehicle in which they were abducted. Barack Odwor, according to his account of events, managed to get away from the abductors and crawled and made his way into a homestead, from which he made his way to a police station where he reported the matter. Thereafter, a search ensued for Sharon, who was together with him in the vehicle, and 7 months heavy with child. Her body was recovered a day later in a thicket near Oyugis town. The vehicle in question was recovered or intercepted on the 16th of September, and the man behind that wheel is one Jackson Otieno Gombe. The vehicle is registered under the Migori governor's PA's wife's name, and that is Olivia Adhiambo. The PA in question is Kaspal Obiero, who is also facing the charge of aiding and abetting the crime of conspiracy to commit murder. Or rather, he's facing the charge of aiding and abetting the commission, the commission of the felony termed murder. The DCI has instructed that the hitmen and other persons who have been adversely mentioned in connection with this matter be pursued and arrested, and he says his office will continue to review the case, and when further evidence is collected, arrests will be made. He's constituted a team of senior prosecutors to undertake the prosecution of the matter immediately. Now, previously, the MP Peter Kaluma has acted for the family, and that is in when Michael Oyamo was brought to the Nairobi courts. He is the one who represented the family. Ken Mijungu says he believes that is still the case. We wait to hear what will transpire in court. The courts were first hearing other matters before coming to the Sharon Otieno matter, and of course that is on account of the public interest it has generated. It is of course our top story on the Daily Nation. It's the headline story, and it details the timeline and the persons involved in that particular offense. The family has expressed fears for their safety, and that is after Sharon's father's brother claims he was very nearly taken forcefully by abductors himself. He says he fought them off. He lost his phone and his wallet when those events transpired. So the family has asked that they be accorded security to keep them safe. Residents of Migori, some residents, or rather a section of residents from Migori, took to the streets yesterday to demand the release of their governor, but several other leaders, including women representatives from Nyanza, have said there should be no special treatment, that the governor, like everybody else involved in the saga, should be held to account and fully booked if found guilty. As Ken Mijungu details what is likely to transpire today following the reading out of charges and the pleading to the charges is an application for bail, a release on bail or bond, and of course that will be at the discretion of the courts, and of course it depends on whether or not there will be opposition from the state for that to happen. The courtroom, Ken Mijungu said, is very packed, but there are sufficient security measures that have been put in place. He says there are supporters of the governor and his two PAs outside the law courts, but he says the courts are sufficiently guarded. This matter has generated a lot, as I said, a lot of public interest. Would like to hear your thoughts on the matter. I'll be going through some of your responses to what is transpiring in court. The handle to use is at NTV Kenya. And the hashtag in about half an hour will be hashtag NTV Today, but you can go ahead and use that. I would like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe perhaps the matter has been skewed by public opinion? Has the process been fair? And do you believe the right people are being held to account? A lot of events transpiring in the country, as Ken said. Of course, there was a gruesome murder of a 9-year-old girl. That was Maribel Capolon, her body was also recovered in a thicket within a forest in Meru. We saw 2 people being arraigned in court over that. Over the weekend, she was laid to rest, but of course there have been demands for justice to be done. The Daily Nation carried a story yesterday speaking about how it seems that these incidents seem to be on the rise. Have we lost value for life? That is one of the questions they posed in that particular piece. So this has to do with the murder. What you're watching on your screens is what is transpiring at the Milimani Law Courts, where Migori Governor Okoth Obado is being arraigned over the murder of Sharon Otieno, a third-year student at Rongo University. She was 26 years old when her life was taken.